Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surovell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's been quite a few things said in the last 45 minutes that I feel like need to be corrected here. First of all, there was an assertion made, I think, that none of this was aimed at actual crime or deterring crime or criminals. I would like to remind everybody that after Charlottesville occurred, a Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard was convicted in Charlottesville General District Court for shooting at protesters. And I'm pretty confident that had the city of Charlottesville been able to have as a permit condition that folks can't open carry or conceal carry, that gentleman might not have had that gun to go shooting at protesters in the crowd. He would have found a different way to defend himself if he felt like he was threatened. And in fact, he was going to try a self-defense and then he decided that the video didn't really play that out, and he just pleaded guilty. But in any event, that protects people. That protects people from getting injured, whether they're bystanders, other protesters, or people in the protest. I'm also excited to hear that there's a lot of enthusiasm for the Bill of Rights on the other side. I'm really excited because I'm a defender of the Bill of Rights. I represent the drafter of the Virginia Declaration of Rights, George Mason's house, where our Bill of Rights was based on. I'm really looking forward to your support on all my arguments where I think that we're passing bills that violate the establishment of religion, which is in the First Amendment. I'm looking forward to everybody voting against any immunity clauses that take away people's right to trial by jury in civil cases. I'm looking forward to everybody's support against all the medical malpractice cap, the punitive damage cap. If everybody's a believer in the Bill of Rights, a firm believer, we can't change any of them. I'm sure all of you all are going to stand with me and all the lawyers in this body and give Virginians their right to trial by jury, which our Bill of Rights says is sacred, unlike any other right. It doesn't say that about, by the way, in the Virginia 13th Amendment, which is our Second Amendment. It only talks about that about trial by jury. So I'm looking forward to your support now that you all have found Jesus on that. Now, this is also not only about Charlottesville. I heard a statement that we are putting this bill in because Charlottesville happened. That's not the case at all. Many of our localities have been asking us for this authority for years. We just chose not to introduce it because we knew it was a waste of time. Delegate Mamie Bacote, who I used to serve with at another time, put in a bill every single year about firearms in libraries. She was a dog on a bone with that. I'm sure she's happy to see this going through. But this isn't only about Charlottesville. Charlottesville only underscored the need for it and the reason for it. And Charlottesville is a big reason why the public is crying out for this. But it's not the only reason. Next point I'd like to make is about enforceability. There's some talk that this isn't enforceable. Take, for example, the AR-15 situation that I cited at the Alexandria Farmers Market. Those three guys decided to walk into a farmer's market carrying their AR-15. It disturbed pretty much everybody who was there except for those three guys. They did call the police. The police went and talked to them and asked them if they would leave. They would not. The police checked their weapons to see if they violated. There's actually a provision in Virginia Code that says your magazine in those scenarios can only have so many bullets. They checked it. They didn't violate that. The police determined there was absolutely nothing they could do to ask those gentlemen to leave. But if Alexandria adopted an ordinance prohibiting the open carry of firearms at their farmers market, the police could have done something about it. It is enforceable. Third point I'd like to make. This bill does not create gun-free zones. It simply authorizes the localities to create them, but it does not create them itself. In addition to that, the localities can account for permitting issues. If there's concern about a street, or if there's concern that Senator Reeves might be driving through Fredericksburg or whatever, that can be accounted for in the ordinance. And I would also like to point out to Senator Reeves that the city of Fredericksburg has adopted an ordinance already prohibiting the carrying of loaded firearms through their city. Or loaded rifles, I should say. Not handguns, but rifles. So that's already the law in Fredericksburg because we gave them that authority in the code section right after this, 15.2, 915.2, I believe. Next thing I'd like to say I heard somebody talk about small areas of the Commonwealth. I bet you're going to see rules adopted covering about half the population of the Commonwealth. I would not call that small. In addition, I would just point out that there's not, I heard a concern that people are going to unwittingly violate the law here. Every building what this might apply to, there's going to be a sign on the door. Every protest where somebody's going into, there's going to be a sign at the protest saying, "Don't, firearms prohibited beyond this point." It's not like you're just going to be driving through Fairfax and there's a big sign saying no guns allowed in Fairfax County, because we didn't give them that authority. We could have gone farther if we had chosen to. I'm not saying we have the votes to do it, but we could go a lot further. This law is a very small, modest extension of existing law to add to the 86 local ordinances that already can exist on, variations that can exist on these things. It's not a big deal. And we're not casting aspersions on gun owners. When somebody shows up at an Alexandria farmer's market with an AR-15, they're not showing up to educate the public about their Second Amendment rights. They're showing up to scare and intimidate. They're showing up to make a scene. That's what we're seeking to regulate, not to cast aspersions on them. So, Mr. President, I would just say in conclusion that these bills are very reasonable. They're small. They're extensions of existing law. And I think the public would be a lot better served if we toned down the hyperbole and focused on the facts and focused on the bill that's in front of us instead of theoretical bills or theoretical scenarios that are never going to happen, that aren't out there, that aren't covered by this.